Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and thank you for watching our series on the kings of medieval England. In our previous episode, we explored the reign of Henry I, the scholar king who reformed justice and centralized royal authority. But as we hinted at the end, Henry's carefully built legacy came crashing down after a single shipwreck. Today we dive into what came next, a dark, chaotic period of civil war, betrayal, and broken oaths known simply as the Anarchy. At the center of this storm was King Stephen, Henry I's nephew, a man many called charming, brave, and generous, but also weak, indecisive, and tragically unfit for the crown. So let's begin the story of King Stephen of Blois. Stephen of Blois was born around 1092, the son of Adela of Normandy, one of William the Conqueror's daughters, and Count Stephen of Blois. Through his mother, Stephen was a grandson of William the Conqueror, giving him a royal bloodline, though not a strong claim to the throne by primogeniture. Yet Stephen was raised at Henry I's court and treated with favour. Historian Edmund King, in his book King Stephen, describes how the young nobleman quickly gained lands in England and Normandy, and was one of the wealthiest magnates of his time. He had charm and political skill, and crucially, he was in England when Henry died in 1135. Henry's designated heir was his daughter, Empress Matilda, a formidable woman who had once been married to the Holy Roman Emperor. But Matilda was not in England, and she was a woman in a deeply patriarchal society. Despite having sworn allegiance to Matilda, the barons were uneasy, and so, within weeks of Henry's death, Stephen acted. He raced to London, secured support from his powerful brother Henry of Blois, the Bishop of Winchester, and gained the blessing of the Church. On December 22nd, 1135, Stephen was crowned King of England at Westminster Abbey. From the start, Stephen's reign was built on a shaky foundation. As Frank Barlow writes in his book The Feudal Kingdom of England, Stephen's usurpation may have seemed like a practical solution, but it fractured the fragile unity Henry I had created. And it soon became clear that Stephen, for all his virtues, lacked the iron discipline and administrative acumen of his uncle. At first, Stephen tried to rule as a consensus king. He issued a new charter promising to uphold the laws of Henry I and respect the Church. But cracks began to appear almost immediately. One of his biggest problems was that he couldn't control the barons. Many nobles used the chaos to build unauthorized castles and amass private armies. The chronicler William of Newburgh lamented that during this time Christ and his saints slept. Lawlessness spread, fiefs became fortresses. Even loyalists began to question Stephen's strength. Then came the real threat, Matilda. In 1139 she landed in England, supported by her half-brother Robert of Gloucester and other powerful nobles. Matilda was no passive claimant. Strong-willed and determined, she launched a campaign to take back her father's crown, plunging England into civil war. The conflict that followed, the Anarchy, lasted for nearly 2 decades. Both sides experienced victories and humiliating defeats. In 1141, Stephen was captured at the Battle of Lincoln, an unprecedented moment. Matilda had a chance to claim the crown. She entered London and prepared for coronation. But she overplayed her hand. Demanding heavy taxes and refusing compromise, Matilda alienated the Londoners who rose against her, forced her to flee. Her window of opportunity slammed shut. Stephen's wife, Queen Matilda of Boulogne, rallied loyalists and secured her husband's release in a prisoner exchange. The war dragged on, bitter and ruinous. Castles changed hands. Famine spread. Towns were burned and fields went untilled. One chronicler wrote, "They built castles and filled them with devils and evil men." In truth, neither side could deliver a decisive blow, and Stephen's personal weaknesses, his tendency to forgive rebels, his failure to assert authority, meant the crown grew ever weaker. Stephen's greatest personal loss came in 1153, when his beloved son and heir, Eustace, died suddenly. The loss broke him. Exhausted by war and perhaps finally understanding the price of ambition, Stephen agreed to a compromise. In the Treaty of Winchester, Stephen acknowledged Matilda's son, Henry of Anjou, the future Henry II, as his heir. When Stephen died the following year, in October 1154, the crown passed peacefully to the young Plantagenet king, ending the Anarchy and beginning a new royal dynasty. So, how should we remember Stephen? He was no tyrant. Indeed, his generosity and personal bravery were widely admired. But as historian R.H.C. Davis writes in his book King Stephen, 1135 to 1154, he was a man better suited to be a nobleman than a king. His inability to control the barons, enforce justice, or navigate the ruthless game of royal politics made him a tragic figure in English history. Stephen's reign was a lesson in what happens when leadership is weak, legitimacy is disputed, and personal loyalty outweighs law. England paid the price, in blood, famine, and instability. But in the ashes of that chaos, a new monarch would rise, one forged not by inheritance but by force, patience, and clever negotiation. His name was Henry II, and he would become one of England's greatest kings. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for historical videos. In a next episode, we will enter the age of the Plantagenets, beginning with Henry II, Eleanor of Aquitaine, and the birth of an empire. Until then, thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.